Well, our special guest today is Miss Stella Chase. I'm thrilled to have all of you here to hear from her, to talk to us about the restaurant that named after her family, and kind of their impact in New Orleans for the last almost 80 years. So everyone, welcome Stella Chase Reese. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Oh, it's great to be here.
Pleasure.
I think we're about the same thing here, promoting our community, promoting New Orleans so that we all can have a happy life here. And I know that's what you're doing. I hear that's what you're doing. So we're doing something similar.
In a lot of ways, I think we are. I think, your what was it, great-grandfather?
It was my grandfather.
Your grandfather started a sandwich shop and lottery, right?
Yes,
just something very humble that's become something that presidents, multiple United States presidents have come to. Anyone that's a big deal that travels in town, I feel like they're always going to your restaurant. It's the first thing tourists see at the airport when they land. Tell us kind of about the history of the restaurant a little bit.
So you started off, my grandparents started with what in New Orleans? A po' boy stand. You know, we all love po' boys. So my grandmother was a smart lady. She said, well, I don't have much money, but I can open up a po' boy stand right in the grocery that people have to come into. So she did. And that was in 1939. But in 1941, of course, her dreams grew and grew and grew. And a building came available, and it was in the next block, 2301 Orleans Avenue. So she purchased it with the help of a vendor and lived in part of it and started the restaurant. And that became the historic New Orleans Dooky Chase restaurant right on the corner of 2301 Orleans Avenue, right on Miro. Yep. And of course, the doors open, and my parents and grandparents, really at the time, they said, this is a place where people can come and enjoy good food, have good time in a peaceful place, in a safe environment. So that was when we started our legacy. My parents continued it. And of course, they expanded the restaurant, keeping in all the laws and rules of the Historic Commission. Took two shotgun homes and put them together. So our restaurant, we have a little history with real estate now. Our restaurant is actually two shotgun homes put together and now has extended into 3 other dining areas. And so they did that in the late 80s and continue to improve, and today we're there continuing their legacy. But they wanted to welcome everybody, welcome the community. And in 1941, our communities were separated. So we can always come together like we do today. So in that case, we had many of our entertainers, African-American entertainers come, Lena Horne, Duke Ellington, Nat King Cole, the list goes on and on. James Baldwin came, Muhammad Ali came. Ray Charles loved the place so much, he said, Duck, I just love coming here at the bar, he and my father. And he said, next time I'm going to put you in one of my songs. Well, y'all, he did, but it wasn't one of his most popular songs. So you have to Google a little bit and Google Early in the Morning by Ray Charles, and you hear him say he came to Dooky Chase's to get something to eat. And the waitress said, Ray, you sure look beat. Because y'all know what time early in the morning is in New Orleans, right? 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think Ray was not the only one who was beat at that time, but So we were in that, and of course we have been blessed over the years. My parents, they love the community. In fact, if you think of us, you think of 3 things. You think of culture, cuisine, and community. And that sums us up. After years and years, they want to continue to make our community proud of us. Because, after integration happened, and that was one that they worked hard to see happen, the civil rights movement in the dining room, strategizing, upstairs in our legacy room that we are blessed to be able to just finish renovating. Many decisions made, and we have one of the markers given to us by our state, because my parents and grandparents said, well, how can we go next step? How can our community get better unless we strategize together? You know, African Americans, Caucasians, whoever has to come. And so it was against the law, but they went upstairs, and that's where the open meetings were. Because the civil rights movement actually began in many, many places, and we said our place was one that we continued what they did. But we brought in the Caucasians who were part of the civil rights movement. Many lawyers coming from the North were Caucasians. So where could they meet with the clients? Where could they strategize? So it was in that legacy room, all of that took place. And my parents, after that, expanded, as I said earlier, because they wanted their community to be proud of them. Because now, you know, we could go anywhere. We could eat anywhere. And so we had to make Dooky Chase proud place where everyone would want to come. And so that's what we continue to do today.
Well, I admire, I admire so much of what you talked about. I think that taking a stand on something so big and so bold, you know, it's amazing that feels like it was so long ago, but it wasn't.
Right.
And I think all of us see things today that we want to maybe speak out on, and that's not to be political in any particular issue.
Right.
Where did that confidence come from? Where did that fire come from? That was not an easy thing to do, and your family decided. And I think, I mean, your mother Leah, she always. I don't think there was anything she wouldn't say that was on her mind, right?
You're very right. In fact, I used to say, "Hold on, Mother."
How was that taught? Was that ingrained in you from the time you were?
Well, from the time that we, you know, I grew up in the restaurant, so the restaurant was there, and then we started coming along. My mother and father were, you know, just community people, right-minded people, who felt like we all had a place, we all had something to offer. And what they taught us is that you have to be proud of who you are in order to accept other people. So know who you are, be proud of that, but be open to other people and their cultures. So my daddy was very big on that. You know, he was very active in civil rights movement, going from door to door, getting people to register. But he would always take a stand, always open the door. And they just said, we have to do the right thing. And it comes to what I tell people today. If you do the right thing will come back to you. And that is what they taught us to do. My mother was very open and wanted to always be very involved. And sometimes, you know, my mother would talk and she says, well, my children said I can't say this, and she's right. You know, after one time, we'll go like, wait a minute, because I would tell you this secret. I'm saying wait a minute because I used to tell them, you know, you really gambled on my education here, taking these risks. But they saw us all through school, all through college. My mother and father were very Catholic, and so we grew up going to Catholic schools. We wanted to go to different colleges, and they sent us there. And I said, just think, if you would have made the wrong move, all of our college days wouldn't have been. But they did. And the right move is to do the right thing, to speak out when you need to speak out, but to also know that everyone has a part to play. In our community, there is a space for everyone. And that's what I think they taught us as children. You know, This is it. This is our community. Here's what you have to do. And we are servants. We never did deny that. They said we are in the service business. So we have to serve people. So don't get on any high horse or don't think you this or that. We are servants to our community. And that's what we've always been, service to our community.
I think that's something we all strive for. I mean, we're in the service business in a lot of ways too, a little differently. But one of the hardest things I think in these businesses is doing the same thing every day.
Yeah. Whether
it's having that fried chicken that brings you back to the last time you were there, right? That tastes the exact same. And I think I tell people all the time, they say something at a restaurant that's older in New Orleans, and they say, the menu never changes. Listen, that is the hardest thing to do. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to make the same darn thing every year and for decades it not change.
Right, it is. It is hard, and we try to keep our recipe because consistency is the thing. People come to New Orleans for different tastes, and now, thank goodness, New Orleans, we have many different restaurants, many different cuisines that people can come here and enjoy, and we're happy about that. That brings more people to New Orleans. If we just had Creole food, not everybody would come, but now we have all kind of different foods, and people come, and they experience all of the restaurants. So yes, that is difficult, but what we've tried to do over the years is, have our menu be inclusive, because now we have people with dietary issues. And,
I know a little bit about that.
You know a little bit, and guess as we grow older, we all find a little bit about it. So now we try to make our menu where it's dietary friendly to everybody, because if our parents said, when you come into this door, it's like welcoming people into our home. So how do you welcome somebody into your home and don't have anything for them to eat? Not in New Orleans, we don't, okay? So we have to kind of, modify our dishes and let people know we're probably one of the few places, if not the only, I won't say only, but few, that we have gluten-free fried chicken. Yes, and people come in here and they want to come, I want that fried chicken. So here it is. We do the fried chicken, and one day I said, that chicken really looks good. And they said, well, and I tried it, and I said, hey, this gluten fried chicken isn't bad at all. So it even has me trying different things. And I would tell you one thing, too. For Gumbo Zaire, which is Holy Thursday, our biggest day in our restaurant, where we serve clearly over 1,000 people in and takeout included. And we have Gumbo Zaire, which was a dish started by Catholics because the next day was Good Friday, and you had to fill your stomach because you had to not have meat, but you had to fast from meat and abstain from meat and fast with just certain many meals. So it was done with all these greens because we had our gardens here. So all the greens were in there and meat. So finally my mother said, well, this is a big day, but people's dietary issues are still here, and we want to invite everybody. So now we do what? Greens, but no meat. So we kind of just adjust. And this is what life is about. And I told them when, I said, well, we need this, but you have to creolize it a little bit. And so they said, well, okay, all right, we will do that. So that's what you do to meet the needs of your community. Try to stay consistent, but meet their needs by, as we do at Dooky Chase, creolizing it a little bit.
I love that. I think there's a lot of lessons in there for us, actually. 20th anniversary of Katrina. Katrina is definitely part of the Dooky Chase story.
It is.
How are you kind of thinking about this anniversary and marking this time as we move forward away from the event?
So Katrina is a big time for all of us, whether we were here in New Orleans or not. Whether we were born then, you're still hearing about it. If you weren't in New Orleans and you were born, you saw it all over the television. So I will tell you what Katrina brought us. We felt like the government moved slowly during that time. But however, President Bush and his lovely First Lady Laura came to New Orleans after. Might have been a little late, but it was in Dooky Chase that one of those strategizing meetings took place with our governor, lieutenant governor, with our mayor, with all the dignitaries. And y'all, guess who was coming to town then? Drew Brees. And guess who was in that meeting? Drew Brees. So many of them came there, and the president listened. So we started getting things. Some things loosened up criteria or different things they put in place. They said, well, maybe we can loosen up a little bit. So we began seeing the help. But before President Bush came with his lovely wife, we had Americans to come. So I always tell people, when I think of now, I never forget people coming from all over our country, from outside of our country, to lift us up. And I tell everybody, I'm proud to be American because Americans know what it is to help each other when we need it. And that's how we started experiencing Katrina, through the helping hands of many people. The president coming, of course, but the people who came before. And I will tell you, people were knocking on our doors. Families coming on spring break, bringing their children. And, you know, here we are all masked up. And I used to say, you don't have your mask? You know, they were coming, honestly, to give us a hand. So that's how my experience with Katrina. Of course, I wanted my parents, who were mother in her early 80s, father in his late 70s, to just say, well, look, let's just rest and just enjoy life, whichever life we have. They were determined. We were living in Baton Rouge, and the mayor of Baton Rouge said, look, I'm going to help y'all get a restaurant here. My mother told him, no, I don't have the strength to do that. I have strength for one thing, and that is to get my restaurant back. And she said, we were part of the community. And if we come back, we know our community will come back. So y'all, every day sitting in Baton Rouge, they were up at 4 o'clock in the morning looking for the first car going to New Orleans. And at that time, Baton Rouge, which you know we do at least in 90 minutes or less, was taking 3 to 4 hours to get here. But they were there, and people came. So that's my Katrina. Of course, you see here pictures of how Katrina was devastating not only to us, but to many New Orleanians. Every member of my family lost their house. Every member of the family had at least 8 feet of water in their house. But that was New Orleans. It wasn't just us. It was all of us. And, of course, uptown area was spared a little bit, as real estate officers probably know. Yep. But you go to those stores and you would hear people say, or you see them other places, I just feel bad because I said, because you have your home, you feel bad? I said, but you lost your city. So you have to be helping everyone, work to help everyone to get it back. Whether we had water in our homes or not, we were devastated, New Orleans, because we lost our city. We had no rules or regulations, no traffic lights to tell you when to stop, when to go. And guess what? For those people who were looking for a fast meal, couldn't find a McDonald's, couldn't find any fast meal, you had to wave down a Red Cross truck to get food. And but now, as we are now, and as we come back, and as we truly celebrate 20 years of Katrina, we, like New Orleans, and you've seen it too, are coming back better. We didn't come back fast, but we came back slow, but we coming back better. I remember in President Bush, he came that time, but then after the restaurant was better up and ready to serve people, he brought with him then the Chancellor of Canada and the President of Mexico. And of course, my mother had her gumbo all ready to serve. And I said, well, so Mother, you think the gumbo is really going to be the answer? Do you think President Bush believed you when you said you could solve all the problems over my bowl of gumbo? And she looked at me like I was the crazy one and said, well, yes, and he will. So he came back.
It's pretty good gumbo.
It's pretty good gumbo. And I tell you, it was like they all were from New Orleans, because after they finished eating, they were hugging us and kissing us. And I said, oh, you've been around here a little while, and enjoying life. So I don't know what happened after that. And then President Obama got in office, and he came to check on the progress of what was being sent to New Orleans and how was the money being spent. And of course, he came to Dooky Chase's. And of course, that's where the famous action of my mother, tapping the president's hand, saying, don't you put put Tabasco in my gumbo. So we had him in the gumbo. He had the fried chicken, and he didn't put Tabasco in her gumbo.
Perfect as it is.
So perfect as it is. And so we've had that. Today we still try to move on, never forgetting from whence we came, because that should motivate all of us to know that if we come this far, we can even go further. And so what we do at this season, I don't know if it's for us, for the restaurants, and for hospitality, this is a kind of slow season. Slow season for us actually means that we may serve only 150 people a day and not over 200. Because, I said we're blessed. We do what my mother say, pray, work hard, and do for others. And whenever it looks like we're not getting what we're supposed to do, I said, we're not giving, so we'll find a way to give to our community to give back. But that is the key, to celebrate what we have here, but always to know what my mother said. You start where you are. Make something of it and never be satisfied. So that's where we run the restaurant. We start where we are. We try to make something of it, and we're never satisfied. So that's where we always will improve on whatever we have. Improve on our relationships with our community members, improve on what we do for the community, improve on our food, and improve on whatever we can to make our city better. And that's what we still try to do today. And we've come a long way from those flooded waters, from my mother living in a trailer. And, of course, we still every day have things to do to improve. But we're thankful that we've come this far, and we know we've come this far not by ourselves, but because of community members and people, and, of course, a lot of prayers coming to help us get back.
Your mother was an incredible woman that I think a lot of us feel like we got to know, whether it was from Channel 12 or getting to meet her, because she was, your parents were always around town. And thinking about her, whether it's, butchering a live turtle to make her turtle soup, or Lauren made her sweet potato biscuits for everybody. Okay. There's that, speaking of adapting for diet. Those are the real recipe, and those are Lauren's adapted gluten-free, dairy-free version. Well, go ahead. On the right side there. Okay. So everybody try some. But what are your, what's one of your favorite memories or favorite recipes that you would make with your mom? Or
so I will tell you another Katrina story. My mother was one. I taught school here in Orleans Parish for 30 years. I enjoyed it. I was an administrative part. I did staff development. I did a lot of things, but my parents never pushed us into the business, even though as kids coming up in high school, we had to work in the business. They always said, do what you love to do. So what I loved to do was actually to educate children and to make a difference. I felt education had to be a priority, and if I could help, I would. So getting back to what I did with my mother would always say to me, I said, well, Mother, I'm making this. Well, why are you doing that? I'm in the kitchen all day. Why you have to do that? Just come and pick it up. So I said, okay. But sometimes I would call, and my dad would answer the phone. And I said, Daddy, I'm trying to make this sauce. Well, you need your mother? Just ask me. I'll tell you. I said, oh, no, Dad, I need my mother. But after Katrina, we were living in Baton Rouge. And my mother was in her early 80s. And we didn't want her to get depressed or lose her sense of enjoyment, because her enjoyment was cooking for other people. And they had this place called the Melting Pot in Baton Rouge. I think I have the right name. And it actually sold pots and pans and different things. They invited my mother to come in and do cooking demonstrations. So you asked me what I did with my mother. Well, there was myself and my sister who became her sous chefs. And my mother would be cooking, giving her demonstrations. And she said, and get me this. And I look at my sister, and she'd look at me. I said, okay, we got it. And then, we laughed. I'm going like, Mother, act like we know what we do. So some of the dishes we cooked with her, of course, we did the gumbo, and we did her stewed chicken, and we did her chicken Creole. But my memories with my mother was there after Katrina, learning all the different recipes so I could be her sous chef. So there you go.
Well, those are pretty special.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I could keep going on, but does anyone have a question or anything they want to ask? Well, we got a couple more minutes here. Cody, I'll let you start since no one's raising their hand too fast.
I would love to hear about the restaurant in the neighborhood, Treme, how that has been over the years, and also at the Chase Foundation.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for that. So the restaurant in Treme has been over the years. And Treme as realtors, have been good, bad, and coming up. So we were there through it all. But my father's family grew up in Treme. And they wanted to have the restaurant for the community. And so we were given an opportunity, and my father would point it out to me. You see that place right where Wendy's were? Oh, I don't know if it still is since Katrina, but right across from the Superdome. He said, we have an opportunity to go there. But he said, but this is our community. This is where my parents started. This is where we will continue. So we continued in that community, and that's why after Katrina, they wanted really to come back so our community could come back. And so to this day, we tried to do things to make our community proud, means the total community, New Orleans and all of our communities. And so every time we do anything, take on any new project at the restaurant, we ask ourselves this question: how will it benefit our community? And when we expanded again, we took the 2 shotgun homes, not taken away from our community, but still showing the character of our community, and did that. And then after Katrina, we put in for a grant from the Preservation for Small Business, Historic Businesses. We were happy to get it. And this was after Katrina. It was a $40,000 grant. I'm going like, what? The outside? We need so much done everywhere. But I'm so thankful for that, because what we were able to do is enhance the outside, put our legacy walk there, giving honor to those who fought during the civil rights time, who came here and strategized, and all the presidents who've come. We were able to put that on the sidewalk, but we used pavers that would seep the water in as it came around. So we were telling our community, okay, we have to be environmental friendly. So this is how we're going to improve our community. And our part, we can acknowledge who's been here, so you're proud of your community, but we're going to do it in an environmental friendly way. And it took that $40 and a lot more to complete that project, but that was an incentive for us to start. So that was one way. The other thing is our...
Would you like some water, by the way?
No, I'm good,
okay.
Thank you. Our foundation. I'm a 3rd generation Chase, but our foundation was started by our 4th generation Chef Dooky, and all his cousins decided that they wanted to make sure that our family legacy, or my parents' legacy and grandparents' legacy, would continue. And so for my mother's 90th birthday, they started the foundation, which has 4 pillars. It's cultural, of course, culinary, education, and social justice. And on those 4 pillars do we continue to give grants out to people in our community who needs help in those areas. And that way we continue the legacy, we continue to value my parents' and grandparents' wishes to make us continue to give back to our community. At that 90th birthday, my mother celebrated, and the community came out for her. I'm telling you, the Hyatt Regency, we had to take the whole room. Over 800 people came out for my mom for that and helped us to start that foundation. And her last celebration, 95 years, my father had passed by that time. We still were celebrating with her. This time, New Orleans style, we had her on the float coming out into the Hyatt and greeting her guests. And she said, "Y'all are really crazy." We said, "Well, you are our queen." And so that was her last big celebration, and again, to help the foundation. And today we do give smaller events for the foundations, and we have been very blessed. People continue to donate to our foundation. So we are able to give scholarships. Last year we gave Xavier Dillard and Suno each $10,000 scholarships. This year we're giving to Loyola to help them start another $10,000. So we try to give back, and we give to our performers, we give to events, social justice, we promote, voter registration and voter knowledge. We don't and we will not get into telling people who to vote for and how to vote. We just feel that we have to bring them the knowledge and bring them the activities to empower them, for them to make those decisions on where to vote, how to vote, and what they want to vote for. But we will always say, get out, because we believe voting stirs the pot. And so that's what we do. And so that's how we go now.
I first want to thank you for being such an important part of the fabric of New Orleans. Your family, I've been going to your restaurant for decades.
Yes.
And I do remember the times of Katrina. And, going into it this week, it's a little overwhelming at times, but just running into people like you in this city that can just kind of explain the better parts of it and remind us that 20 years ago how it was to come back to find our city, And I did 20 years of hospitality before I did real estate, and I can tell you, hand in hand with this city, y'all helped to rebuild it. And I'm also proud that your family continues it. I think y'all are at your great-granddaughter's. Her great-granddaughter is the newest chef at Dooky Chase.
Yes.
And we do enjoy seeing you. We have to search for it a bit more in PBS, but y'all put y'all's secrets out there for us to learn and to see how simple they are, And I just want to express to you from people from New Orleans how much that we do respect and love your family. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I do want to say one thing. We're going over time, but I want you to hear this. I had the honor to work with Disney on, just to go with them on their research trips and all. And they love New Orleans. Of course, Walt Disney loved New Orleans. But they would go and look at the details. And I think the biggest honor is when one of those, what we call them Imagineers, said to me, "I'm really thinking about relocating here." Because of the history, because of the buildings, because of the people and everything they're doing, they're making people feel welcome. And our history, and of course our architect, brings people here. They love it. And so I want to tell you what you do is very important too. So they notice it, and of course after Katrina happened, a bad time. But we as a family, we as a city have been wonderful growing up and keeping what is naturally New Orleans and keeping it up. And we thank you for doing your real estate business and keeping our New Orleans in the forefront. And you marketing us as well. You bringing people here and telling them what they can do, the properties they can have. And I'm experiencing it. Because I hear in the restaurant, "Oh, I bought me a condo here," or "I bought an apartment," or "I'm living here." And I come here during not the summer. Let's correct that right now. But I come here, of course, Jazz Fest, come here during the fall, and I enjoy my time in New Orleans. So I want to thank you for what you do as well.
Well, we're so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Honor to have you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Appreciate you.